Good evening, everybody. I'm Shane Belanger. I'm here at State Street School, and we're here tonight because we're going to discuss the upcoming school bond that's happening on November 8th. It's a very important bond that's happening because the 3 elementary schools that are part of this bond desperately need some help, some TLC, put it that way. We're going to be discussing Springbrook Elementary School tonight, Duns Corners Elementary School, and State Street Elementary School. As we have all 3 principals from each school here tonight. We're going to have Susan Martin from Springbrook Elementary School, Steve Marone from Duns Corners Elementary School, and Audrey Fulbert from State Street Elementary School. We are at State Street because State Street is in need of the most work. And as you can see behind them, we did this on purpose. We want you to see exactly how the state that State Street School is in. It's not unsafe. Don't want that get you the wrong impression. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here, and we're going to start off with a video for Springbrook Elementary School to give you an insight as to what needs to happen, a layout of the plans, and then we're going to talk with Susan Martin after that. All right. And we're back. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're coming to you live, if you're just tuning in, from State Street Elementary School. And tonight we're discussing the school bond that's coming up for vote on November 8th. It's very important this year. We'll be talking with the principals here very shortly. Oh, and I did forget to mention at the very beginning, if you have some questions that you'd like to have some answers to, we're going to have Justin Hopkins in the second part of the live stream, who is an expert on the bond. He knows the ins and outs of it, all parts of it. And so go ahead and put your comments, questions right there in the comments on whatever Facebook page you're watching. At the break, we'll go through those questions and we'll pick out the best ones and we'll have Justin answer those for you. Again, thank you. And our first guest tonight is going to be Susan Martin. Susan, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And you are the principal at Springbrook Elementary School. So first off, why don't you tell the folks out there a little bit about yourself?
Well, this is my 33rd year as an educator. I worked as a classroom teacher for 17 years, as a reading coach for 4 years, and this is my 12th year as a building administrator. And I am very fortunate that I get to spend time at Springbrook School in a school community with students and staff who are amazing, and I get to know the students' families, and it's a wonderful community. And Westerly itself is a great community to work in. I love collaborating with Steve and Audrey and all of the other staff members in Westerly.
You are correct. It's a fantastic community, and again, this school bond is extremely important for this community because this is where it starts. You know, the saying, children are the future, it is 100% correct. Now, Susan, we were going through, and I was capturing the footage for the video that we just saw of Springbrook Elementary School. What is the biggest challenge that you and your staff face on a daily basis at Springbrook?
I think, Springbrook is the newest school, the newest elementary school, so it was completed in 1996, but it's still 26 years old. And having said that, educational research demonstrates that staff members and students they do best when they have the ability to collaborate. So with this project, we would have grade-specific wings with collaboration spaces where students could be working in targeted groups or staff members could be collaborating to plan instruction for their students. So it would just optimize all of our time within that building.
And you mentioned the collaborative spaces to educate and work in. As we know, that's the best way to learn. It's the best way that I learn as well, especially. Now, on the plans, we did see that common area that will be created for the music and the arts. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Well, currently our art and music spaces are next to each other, and so what would happen is we would replace the current wall with a removable wall so that the art teacher or the music teacher could either have events with a larger space to showcase the talents of their students, or they could have events where they worked together to showcase the arts.
And another area that we were looking at was the kindergarten play space, and right now there isn't one. So there will be one created. Tell us a little bit about
Correct.
the plans for that.
So we will have a kindergarten playscape that is right outside the doors of our kindergarten wing so that it's easily accessible by the students and the staff, and
More direct access.
More direct access, and the equipment will be specific to the needs of kindergarten students.
Now, can you explain that a little bit more for me? How would what the kindergarten needs different from the first through the fourth, like on the playground?
Well, it would be smaller, probably more
Good answer.
exploratory. We have mixed equipment on our current playground, so this would, and some of the equipment is too large for our kindergarten students, so this would be equipment that was more geared toward kindergarten.
So right now, the kindergarten uses the playground with the rest of the...
They use one section of our playground.
So this will separate it out.
Correct.
And you also mentioned the outdoor learning spaces that we saw in the video. There was a garden and things of that nature. Can you explain that?
We do currently have a garden, but it could use some updates, and certainly, with a focus on science and hands-on learning, having a space outside that could be dedicated to collecting sample soils or planting or studying some of the insects that they look at during their units of study. All of that could be really beneficial for them to exit the building to the rear of the library and enter that learning space.
And we did see that in the video as well. So there'll be a little bit of work in the library as well.
Right.
We're talking about that, some additional storage space.
And there will be a small workspace so that the librarian or the media specialist has an opportunity to work within a smaller environment with smaller groups of students. And there will also be a prep space in the art and the music room for the two teachers.
That's fantastic. No, you said Springbrook is about 20 years old.
26 years old.
26 years old. So it's reaching the end of its maintenance schedule.
Correct.
So it's time to put a little bit of money into
Right.
it.
So there will be updates to the mechanical and the electrical and the plumbing. And there will also be updates to furniture and fixtures, because this isn't a world where we have kids sitting in rows and teachers are standing in front of the classroom presenting information. That's not the way students learn best. So we'd hope to end up with some more flexible seating options for students and make sure that all of our students are receiving optimal experiences now, but that our environment is more conducive to that.
Well, that's great. Well, Susan, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure speaking with you. I can tell you really enjoy and love what you do.
Thank you. The kids who are before us every day, they represent all that's right with the world, and they deserve the best school facilities that we can offer them.
I agree, 100%. Again, Susan, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
next up, we're going to be talking with Steve Marone, principal at Duns Corners Elementary School. So the next video, can you cue that up? And welcome back. I am Shane Belanger. If you're just tuning in, we're coming to you live from State Street Elementary School, and tonight we're discussing the school bond that is up for vote on November 8th. It's a very important referendum that is happening in the town of Westerly on the 8th. We just finished speaking with the principal of Springbrook Elementary School, Susan Martin. Next, we're going to be speaking with Steve Marone from Duns Corners Elementary School. Steve, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi Shane, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself first for the folks out watching at home.
So I was born and raised in Westerly, and I actually went through the school system, starting at Tower Street School, through Babcock Junior High at the time, and then beginning my 8th grade career at the high school, and graduating from Westerly, which is something I'm very proud of. And it was always a goal to come back to the community. So this is my 19th year in education. I started out as a teacher here at State Street School, and then I became a building administrator in Chariho, and now I'm at Duns Corners School, and this is my 6th year here, and it's a great place to work. The staff, the families, and most importantly the kids, they make your day every day.
Yeah, I went to Duns Corners School many years ago. And it does need some updates. And as we were talking earlier, it's got a great foundation, strong bones, as
Yes.
you say. It's a good school, but some renovations do need to happen. Now, the biggest renovation on that plan is to move the cafeteria from the basement up to the first floor.
Correct.
Tell us the benefits of that and why that needs to happen.
So the cafeteria is currently in the basement, and we make it work. Miss Tabitha and past custodians have, keep the shine, make it a great space for the kids to eat lunch. But ultimately, and it's safe, but we need to bring the cafeteria to the main level where the kids have access to fresh air. We have windows. It's kind of like they're going into the cement box to eat lunch. And, thankfully, the people make it a great time to have lunch for the kids. But it needs to be on the main floor where it has multiple exits.
That is
right
important
out
for safety.
in case there's an emergency, a fire, or some sort of evacuation. And also, too, with the cafeteria in the basement, we're very limited on hosting after-school programs and activities. For example, YMCA Schools Out program is in our school before and after school. The state won't approve the cafeteria in the basement as a place to go. So I just see an increased use of the building by the community by having the cafeteria on the main level floor.
So I didn't know that. So community events do happen at the schools as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's be an added benefit to the community as well.
Yes.
This school bond.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So what are the biggest challenges that you, the students, and the faculty face at Duns Corners on a daily basis?
Well, for example, about 2.5 weeks ago, maybe, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking into the school, get into my office, about to log into my computer, and all of a sudden, the fire alarms went off. And we exited the building. Kids were not at the building, only one student for the YMCA program. And come to find out, it was the first day we turned on the heat and had the fire department come, and thankfully we were cleared to go back in prior to the kids arriving. So, things like that impact our day and can disrupt the day.
Right, so that would definitely fall under some renovations that need to happen. It's
Correct.
just, things get old, they get tired, and they fail sometimes.
Right.
So.
That was in the part of the building that's 55 years old, because there was renovations that happened 26 years ago as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. What renovations were those?
When you walk into the main entrance,
That's
part
correct.
of the
I remember
building.
now. That's
Yep.
right. So the main foyer and the administration area.
Correct.
So as we saw in the video on the plans, the cafeteria will move up to that space. And the administration will move across the way.
Yes.
And I also, when we were going through the gym, needs a new floor. I
Yes.
think that's the same floor from when I was climbing the ropes at Duns Corners in gym class and playing snowballs.
Right.
Yeah.
So one other thing too, going back to the cafeteria, the kitchen would be an addition, which would be in the bus loop part of the school where the bus loop is now, which then causes us to change the traffic patterns. Duns Corners is technically on a road, so the parking is on either side of a road. So to improve that and reduce congestion when buses are coming in and parents are driving up to pick up their kids or drop them off would be an added benefit as well.
That was a theme I saw in all three plans, was improving the flow of traffic. That's a big one. Any other, in the kindergarten play space, that will be new
Correct.
as well.
Yes. So having improving the current play space where kindergartners can access some of the equipment. Also, you've probably played on some of the equipment there. When
I did take a peek at the
students that went there
playground.
20, 30, 40 years ago, there's a piece of equipment that kids use now that has been there for a long time. And then having a kindergarten, which an age-appropriate play space for them to develop their social and emotional development and so forth would be fantastic.
Well, that's great. So any other major plans other than that of obviously moving the cafeteria and the kitchen?
Yeah, upgrading different, the upgrades to the classroom, piggybacking on what Mrs. Martin said about Springbrook, enhancing the learning spaces. I look at Mr. Beauclair in his music room. He can take kids so far with music, and kids love going to his music class, but he's very limited in what he can do. Also, I look at going back to the collaboration, creating those collaborative spaces. I have a special education teacher that works in the kindergarten classrooms. Her classroom for her small group instruction is on the second floor. because there's not space on the first floor. So to create that collaborative space where she has access to kindergartners and the kindergarten teachers would just enhance that instruction and experience for kids.
That's another theme I'm hearing is the collaborative spaces, learning spaces. So obviously, as education improves and we get older, we learn new techniques, the collaborative learning space seems to be the best way to learn at this moment in time.
Yes, I mean, we as a school leadership team, we've been focusing on research-based practices, and if you look at Hattie's work, which is his research says that collaboration has a very high effect size on student achievement, and so we always think of ways that we can bring staff together to collaborate, which then connects back to student achievement, just like we want kids to collaborate so they can discuss, debate, and enhance their learning and stretch their learning.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. Well, any parting words, Steve, before we...
No, I just want to thank the community for supporting schools and supporting us and working with us to overcome challenges.
That's great. Well, thanks for being here again. And next up, we're going to be talking with Audrey Fulbert from State Street Elementary School. And Ben can cue up the video, and please pay attention to this video very closely. And welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Shane Belanger with Westerly News, and we're here at State Street School today talking about the upcoming school bond referendum that's happening on November 8th. It's a very important bond this year, very important election. These elementary schools, they need renovations, and we're going to be speaking with Audrey Fulbert next. For State Street School, it needs to be completely rebuilt. So let's go ahead and let me remind you, if you have any questions, we're going to be speaking with Justin Hopkins after the break. Go ahead and put those questions right there in the comments. We're going to be looking at those at the break, picking out the best ones. We'll be answering those a little bit later on. So next, let's go to Audrey Fulbert. Audrey, thank you for being here. Good to see you. Tell us a little about yourself for the folks at home who may not know who you are.
Sure. Thanks, Shane. Thanks for being here and having us this evening. My name is Audrey Fober. I've been the principal here at State Street School for 13 years. Prior to that, I was the principal at Tower Street School for 9 years. I'm a lifelong resident of Westerly, attended Tower Street School, taught here first grade at State Street School. Like Mr. Marone, graduated Westerly High School. It's a pleasure to be in the community that I grew up in and supporting the future generations of citizens.
That is fantastic. So again, you have roots in this town as well. So what is the biggest challenge for the faculty and students here at State Street Elementary School?
So we have several different challenges. First, I do want to give kudos to John Pagano, the Director of Maintenance, and his efforts to maintain a safe, a dry school and warm. In the winter, our biggest challenges are heat. We've done as much as we can to upgrade heating, to add insulated doors, to add electric heat, baseboard heat. But in the winter, if you're on the north side of the building and the wind is blowing, you can be sure that students will have to grab a coat to stay warm. So that's always a struggle. Also, electrical capacity can be a struggle here. Now we're not using chalkboards any longer to teach. We use smart boards, we use computers, we use document cameras, and if a teacher uses a wall to plug in something and their colleague on the other wall, the shared wall, is also plugging in something, we can blow a fuse. So then it's a buzz to the custodian and the students have to wait until we can get electrical capacity back up and going in that
So
classroom.
it's a break in the learning process, which can be detrimental.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned fuse, so the school is still using fuses?
Yes, we have little breakers that we
Breakers, yes.
that we move and trip
Yeah.
when they trip.
But what you said reminded me of the house I grew up in, whereas in the kitchen, we couldn't use the microwave and the toaster at the same time. So it's very similar. So the electrical system needs to be upgraded.
Yes. Yeah.
Major. Now, as you're watching the video, it was difficult at some points, and that we allowed. We're all part of this. This is our community. We allowed this to happen, but it can be corrected with this new bond that is coming up. So, what is with the new planned school that was going to be going in? We saw some images there of the learning stairs and things like that. So, will a lot of new learning techniques be implemented? Tell us a little about the new building.
Sure. I think the new building has so many benefits to our neighborhood. The first will be getting the parking back into parking lots and not on all of our side streets. And of course, in 1955, when the school was built, most kids were coming by bus. Nowadays, parents like to transport their kids, so often our traffic is backed up into the roads, creating some unsafe congestion on the streets. So now we'll have better parking and traffic patterns to get the congestion off the roads. So that will be an enhancement that the community and neighbors will appreciate. Also, like Susan and Steve, we'll also have better collaborative learning spaces. So I appreciate that all 3 elementary schools will have that benefit, where teachers can collaborate and do better by kids. Students will have opportunities to work in small groups or in whole class as need be, some flexibility there. And of course, the outdoor learning spaces and getting kids outside is so important, especially kindergartners on their dedicated play spaces that are size appropriate, or for our 1st through 4th graders to get outside and learn there as well.
Again, going back to the collaborative workspace theme that is present, and it's a top-down. So the faculty can work in collaborative environment, students can. It's definitely a much better way to learn, especially when I was going. So the whole lecture, getting away from that.
True, yes.
I think that's great, because I remember those lectures in college. I was not a big fan of those, especially at 8 in the morning. But, so how long will this, on November 8th, after the bond is approved and voted in, how long will it take before they break ground on the new construction?
So the timeline will have to go back up to the architects to do the final plans. I believe that process is about a year long. And then at which point they will start breaking ground behind the school. We will stay in place and continue our learning process. And then I believe it's about 3 years when we would move into the new build. And this space would then become the parking and the outdoor play areas.
and have more of a quad feel,
Yes.
for community building and things like that.
Correct. Our school is used often by basketball, by the Chorus of Westerly, by YMCA Schools Out, so the community will have access. Next door we have the Westerly Senior Center. Right now there's proposed walking paths that the seniors might be able to access in the evening or afternoons after school is dismissed. So I think it will benefit the entire community of Westerly.
See, that's great. I did not know that either, and maybe our fans out there watching knew that these schools were used for community purposes as well. It's definitely a great thing for the entire community. So, again, thank you all three for being here. Susan Martin, Steve Marone, and Audrey Fulbert. This has been fantastic. Hope everyone out there understands a little bit better what this bond is all about. We have to invest in the students. It's our duty. We're sitting here right now discussing this bond and trying to educate you out there as to what is needed, what's going to happen. It's definitely needs to happen. We need to invest in the children, in the students, so as they continue to grow, they get the best education they possibly can get. I'm a product of the Westerly school system. I got a great education, but I'm older now. Education techniques have changed, and we need to change with the times in order to give the students the best opportunities that they can have when they get out into the real world. So please, write your questions right down in the comments right there. We're going to go through those at the break. We're going to have Justin Hopkins coming in about 15-20 minutes. We'll answer those questions for you. Again, thank you very much for being here. It was a great conversation, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for tuning in. I am Shane Belanger. If you're just joining us, we are coming to you live from State Street Elementary School. We just had the first part of our roundtable where we spoke with the principals of each of the elementary schools that are part of this school bond that is happening on November 8th. Vote yes on November 8th. We're giving you all the information that you need. We're educating you on how these schools, the state that they are in. There are three, again, Springbrook, Dunn's Corners, and State Street, which we are at right now. So we are in part two of our live stream this evening. We are here with Justin Hopkins, who is the chair of the building subcommittee. Justin, thank you for being with us. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you, Shane, for providing this valuable platform for us to get the word out.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. We built this technology over the past 2.5, 3 years, and we might as well use it for good.
Good.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. So tell us a little bit about yourself, the people at home who might not know who you are.
Okay, I'll try and keep it brief. I was born and raised in Midcoast, Maine, went to architecture school at Roger Williams University in Bristol, Rhode Island. I've had a 22-year career so far as an architect, with the last 10 years living and working here in Westerly, with a primary focus of education facilities, new schools, renovations to schools. I live with my wife in Westerly, Bridgette, and my two sons, Oliver, who's a 7th grader at the middle school, and Elliot, who's a 3rd grader here at State Street. I'm also, in addition to being the chair of the building subcommittee, I'm the chair of the planning board in town, and I also coach a youth wrestling program in town. So
Keep them busy.
try to.
And you are definitely an expert on this subject. I'd like to refer to our phone conversation of maybe a month and a half ago.
Yes, I think it was 2 hours, wasn't it?
I believe it
Yep.
was, and I learned a lot about the school bond. Everything there was to know about it. You're definitely an expert. We did have one question come in.
Sure.
I guess we did a good job. We must have answered everybody's questions. There weren't a lot of questions that did come in, but one we did have. Will Springbrook still be open during construction?
Yes. So the phases of construction for both Springbrook and Dunn's are staged so that the heavy renovations are done during the summer months when school is out of session. So the overall construction duration ends up being longer than that, mainly because we have to make sure that we go through a submittal process, we understand what materials we're procuring, the contractor will have enough time to order, and lead times for materials to get there. So in all of these buildings, we anticipate the students will be not interrupted in their day-to-day work. So that includes the renovations at Dunn's and Springbrook, and most importantly, the replacement of the State Street facility will be bifurcated on the site well enough so that the construction activities can occur during the 12 to 15 months that they need to. So it will be some logistics and heavy planning once we get into those that construction documentation, but it's done every day throughout the country.
Very true, very true. And I know a lot of us have been involved or part of home renovations where it's the same thing. You still live in the home while they're renovating, so
Yep.
I'm sure it's similar, just on a much larger scale. Yeah.
The key is to whenever we're planning these projects is to minimize the day-to-day disruption of the students and their learning experience. So making sure that if second shift work needs to be built into work that's occurring during Monday through Friday, making sure that we're building in weekend work where we need to, but also targeting those times when the students are not in the buildings to make sure that we're doing all of the heavy construction during that time.
Oh, so there will be a second shift, which would happen after.
That's part of the planning when we get into sequencing of the work and establishing bid packages for contractors to ultimately bid on, et cetera. I want to be clear, I mentioned I was an architect. I'm not the one that's actually working on the plans. We have professional consultants. So far, Downs Construction Corporation is our owner's project manager. They work very heavily with RIDE in other districts in Rhode Island, and we also have JCJ Architects who has provided the preliminary planning on this. So.
Well, that's great. So I know one big question on everyone's mind, no one asked it, the price tag. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, $50 million price tag. How is that split up amongst the three schools, roughly?
Okay, so it's roughly, well, we have a flyer that's out there, and we've targeted approximately $9 million for Springbrook Elementary School, the renovations there, approximately $11.8 million for Dunn's Corners, and $29.3 million for the State Street building. I just want to reference one thing. So there's been a lot of discussion in the candidate forums. You know, obviously this is an election season, so sometimes sometimes this project gets the attention of questions during those question and answers, and oftentimes the topic of cost comes up. I want to say that, you know, we've been at this for over 2.5 years, and along the way, we had a lot of discussion about transparency, about making sure that we're communicating to the town council and the school committee. One of the things that was done early in the process was the town council established a fiscal cap of $50 million that they felt the town could manage from a debt service perspective and also from operationally. So we've worked within those parameters, and obviously we can't get everything we can't get everything under the sun for that price tag, but through a pretty methodical process of starting with 19 plans and putting some conceptual cost data to them, getting it down to a few that we could study further, we really feel like we are using that fund allotment in a smart way, targeted way for our schools that need it the most, which is the elementary schools.
And we spoke about this a while back, that this was, you know, compared to the last bond that went through. This is a pared down version, and it made sense to start, like you said, with the elementary schools, with the work that needs to be done. Now, there is something with the state as well, right?
Yes.
As far as matching, or I want to talk about that a little bit.
So, thank you. I neglected to mention the fiscal impact that was part of a report from the town council as they were developing the bond question. This project is eligible at a base reimbursement percentage of 35%. Now, that means for every $1 of construction that we spend, we are guaranteed 35 cents back, 35 cents on the dollar. So that is what we know for a baseline, and that's what the bond question and the fiscal impact statement identify. We are eligible, and our OPM, Joe DeSanti, believes that we will be eligible for up to 52.5% reimbursement. There's a number of reimbursements that are...
Wow, so there's more in addition
Yes.
to what the state is offering.
So the state tries to incentivize construction programs by energy efficiency, newer and fewer security upgrades, curriculum enhancements. Downs has gone through those incentive reimbursements and believes that we can receive up to 52.5%. Now, unfortunately for what we're voting on, that will not be determined until after the projects are complete. So once the projects are complete, we start getting that reimbursement money back. So out of an abundance of caution and as a conservative approach, our bond question says that we are eligible for 35% reimbursement. So we know that anything above that will only enhance or reduce the fiscal impact to the voters. The other thing that I just want to briefly mention, I know I'm going long here.
Oh, that's quite all right. This is all good information for the voters.
That fiscal impact also assumes that the current level of debt service continues through the duration of the bond. So we currently have on the books our middle school debt service. That is scheduled to come off of the books in 2026, I believe. So we theoretically will have a pretty steep drop-off in that debt service. The town, again, out of an abundance of caution, assumes that debt service will remain flat, and it may be encumbered by other initiatives that the town plans. So in all respects, I believe the current fiscal projections that we know and that we're communicating are very conservative ones, and that goes to the property tax impact of, say, on a $500,000 home would be $140 a year. On $1 million home, it would be $280 a year. So
That's not bad at all.
it's 40 cents a day for a $500,000 home.
To invest in this new generation that is working their way up through the ranks in the education, that just makes sense. It's our duty. It's our responsibility to give these students exactly what they need.
Yes.
All right, so Ben, are there any other questions that I may have missed? Okay, so we have no other questions. We are coming up on almost an hour on this live stream, so this was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've been back in front of the camera. I really enjoyed it. I've been extremely proud to be part of this project and allow my company to help get the word out. We know we do live stream all of the Westerly High School varsity games. We have Lisa Ornberg behind the lens here today, again, working as our camera operator. Ben Barber, our producer, who's not on site. But this is the technology that we have now. This is what we can do. We can do these live streams. We can get the information out to you. And this is amazing tech. We should be teaching this in the schools as well, but that's another conversation for another day. Oh, you have...
If you don't mind, I'd like a moment just to thank some very people that have been along the way. I'm chair of the subcommittee, but we have dedicated members that have been meeting bi-weekly since we started this process in January of 2020. We've met approximately 60 times. So I'd just like to list those by name. We have John Pagano, who is the Director of Facilities at Westerly Public Schools. We have Sue Martin, who you heard of earlier, Principal at Springbrook. We have Dr. Alicia Story, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Mark Garceau, Superintendent of the Schools, Cindy Kirchhoff, who is our Finance Director. We also have school committee members, Michael Ober and Giuseppe Giancarelli, and Town Councilor Chris Duhamel on our subcommittee. I'd like to thank the teachers who have shown up in a lot of our working group sessions. Many of them have shown up at our building committee meetings when perhaps we were looking at plans that weren't as popular or didn't make as much sense to the broader group. We certainly heard from them, and as well as showing up at those planning, those educational specification meetings to help with some of the planning. I'd like to thank Dan and Allie Lathrop, who are members of the community who have taken it upon themselves to get the word out and get signs, flyers, stickers, and magnets. Their website is westerlyquestion4.org. And finally, I'd like to thank everyone in town for their patience in this process. It hasn't been easy trying to pick up the pieces from two failed bond referendums, and I have to think that some of the deliberate ways that we went about vetting various plans have helped strengthen, or at least allowed some confidence within the community to say, we've looked at this, we've looked at that, this is really where we've arrived at. So, and of course, thank you for providing this platform again.
You're welcome, and thank you for mentioning those people. I slipped my mind. I apologize. Okay. So thank you for that. Again, this has been, we still have a ways to go. There's 2 more weeks till a week and a half till the election. Go back and re-watch this. It's going to be available for replay immediately after this. Share it. Let everyone know what is going on. I'm just going to end on a quick note. Justin, thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So thank you for tuning in. Again, I am Shane Belanger with Westerly News, Westerly Live, and Westerly Radio. I have been very proud to be part of this project and help get the word out. Again, go to westerlyquestion4.org. There you can get all of the information that Justin spoke about, what each of the principals spoke about. I'd like to thank Audrey, Susan, and Steve for being here. Thank you very much. We heard some great information, and I'm guessing that the fact that there weren't a lot of questions is that we hopefully did our job. You're going to get out there, you're going to vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but vote yes on 4. We educated you, you have the information, this needs to happen. And if I'm being quite honest, we have failed our students with these buildings, but we can correct that mistake. So please vote yes on 4. Thank you.